Okay, here we go. So here is an attempt to build a algo with an alligator indicator and uh, and to make sure the price goes and dips below the alligator and then comes back up, and that would be a valid trade. So a few things first. I think like with my last video and the PDF, people weren't exactly entirely sure why constants and variables are important. So the first thing is with the constants, we would be these are the actual inputs that we would be using on the MT4 EA screen. So if we go to this one, if we go to simple test, if we go to expert properties, look how we have these items that we can change. So ATR period, ATR TP, and ATR SL. So another option in Dreema is that you could go into here with the ATR and then you put the checkbox on the side here, and that would allow you to change that as a setting, and that would be called INP ATR TV period, etc. And on the sell side as well, since you have this one as well, you could end up clicking these ones. So if let's say if I went and changed the TP multiplier to 1 in here, we would have to go to the other one and then also change 1.0 just hypothetically, and that would be the way to do it. But in this case, if we assigned a variable, we would be able to change it. So if we go here, constants are the ones that we want to change in terms of the input screen. So let's add a few. This is the covered ATR. So since ATR is a quite a good good one to start off with, and then we have ATR period, ATR TP, ATR SL. So we know it's 14, and TP is 1, and let's say this is 1.5. So we would do that as an update. And then another one that would be handy is the candle, because the candle is where we would be getting the signal from. So one, candle one is the last closed candle, while zero is the current one. You would only use zero if in your Dreema code you've already included a time filter and said that you needed a particular time. There's like a time filter in here, but I'll cover that one in another video in a future lesson. So here we have candle signal 1, candle signal 2, and checking out what else we need. So another one is let's call it a scale 1 risk and scale 2 risk. So here we would say it'd be 1% and 1%, giving us a 2. And we click update, and that's how we do it. And then on the variable side, so just to recap, these ones are here as an input. So once you set them in the input, they're not going to change. So if you end up wanting to optimize or change it, this is how you can go to the input screen while in MT4 and get that one to go. Now we go to variables. So to explain again, variables are these fields or units or whatever you like to call them that they change on the fly with every They change on the fly with every single loop. So here we have once per bar. It sort of runs in a cycle. So let's say 3 days ago, this EA checks for a trade, no trade. Then the next day it checks, there's another trade. And then, so if there's a trade, it goes through all these requirements. It checks what ATR is on the last bar, and then it executes the order. And then let's say 2 days later, it finishes up. The trade is closed. But then we get another signal to enter into another trade. So when we get the signal to enter into another trade, we need to make sure that the ATR value is the one that is from yesterday's close rather than the one that we had 3 days ago. And how would the robot slash EA remember this is that we would assign this variable as the ATR take profit and stop loss values. So instead of trying to type in and determine what it is, you would let this variable decide or have that data stored in here to make sure that it updates. So with these two changes, so we have the constants and we have the variables, we can go to here. We can go to the continuation, the modify variables, and then so here the modify variables. So for now, we'll just ignore this one. So the modify variables, what we would do is we could say, how do I, so we have a signal, everything is fine. So how do we set the take profit? So this is where we go. We go here. This indicator has already been assigned that with that with these four values that you need to change. So what you need to do is you right click, and the TP period is that you want to, this is the period, so you want 14, you want 1, you want 14 again because this is the period you want, and that's the stop loss multiplier. And then if you go down to here, you need to make sure that the buffer is the take profit as well. And then the candle ID is C period. So that would be the last candle that was there. So this is how, once everything is checked, then we check the 8, and this is where the EA checks and grabs the value from the ATR and puts it as the stop loss value and the TP value. So we do this, rinse and repeat. We right click, we go for the stop loss, and the stop loss is indicator and an ATR. So right click, I'm just going to go a little bit quicker here. Go to more settings and candle ID and done. So the one thing about using these modify variables and having these items is that, let's say here we go. This is block 21 and we have the ATR shift, ATR digits, and these are all input 21s. That's if we ended up clicking on the side box. But as this EA, as the construction grows, you want to be able to copy blocks. So let's say if we went and copy, we paste. So if we have this, we have carbon copy, but this would be for the sell side, but we know that this constant, the input remains the same. So, and then otherwise, if you click the checkbox, it would be INP22 and we would just have a lot of inputs on the MT4 input screen, which would make things slightly difficult. And for the buy now, we just double check here. So the money management, yep, for now we can use fixed volume. So fixed volume here is one of the ones that we do. and then what we could do is balance or equity or whatever that is, and the risk percentage. You know how we have 1% or something here. Then what we can do is we do risk one and then custom instead of price level. Here, what we try to do is to manually set that. But what would happen is that we would need to do, we would need to make sure or need to grab where that candle is. So if we didn't have those variables set, we would have to go here and do all those settings again. But instead, it may seem to be a little bit of hassle to set up all the variables and constants, but if you go to custom, pips, value, numeric, and then you would go to stop loss, and then custom pips again, and take profit. And then that's it. That's all we need to do for the buy now. And then for the sell now. So for the sell now, what we want to do is we want to do this. We want to do so again, because these blocks, we can't exactly copy it over. So we just go ahead and quickly change this one. So this is scale 1. And then we can just do stop loss mode, pips. This is stop loss. And then this one, we can do that again. Take profit. And we call it good. Now to some sort of building slash programming basics. So we have the once per bar here, the no trade. So let's just disconnect this for the time being. So right now what we want to, so this first block is we want the alligator indicator. So we want the green lips to be above the line. So this is just to make sure that we've got all of those settings right. So we, in this case, for a buy trade, you want the green line to be above the red line and also the blue line, with the blue line being the slowest, the red line being the middle, and the green line being the top. So we just make sure we just assign the candle period. Always make sure that we assign the candle period. Okay, so we click update. Now we have this. So one other thing that we can do, we can always edit the title and you can say Gator. So we do GB buy. So this is how it can help with making things easier, since we can end up getting a whole lot of blocks. So now we can copy, paste by, and then we can go in here, edit title, we just call it my bad. So red, blue, buy. So what we do here is we make sure the red line is above the blue line as well. And so what we want to do here is we want to make sure that everything lines up properly. So we do here. So we want all those to be active at the same time. So what we do is we do a green, red buy. Done. So just connect to the connector here. And then what we do is we take an AND block, because what we want is we want the green line above the red line and the red line above the blue line. So this is where you could also do and or, but in this case, we want an and. So we want to do this. So now we check this one. This one is we make sure, yep. So we got that one covered. So let's go ahead and wipe that one. This one we want the candle to tag at least or below the blue line. So here, what we can do is so here we just call it uh, so price tag blue. Or hang on, let me just check one of the conditions first. Oh, so we want the price to be above the blue line. So this one is price above blue. So here is the next requirement. So we want this one, can ID, this one, and more settings. This one, got it. So we got this one. So this one above blue. Next one is we want the gator to touch. So we want the price to touch the gator. So we want the candle low. So we kind of close. So we want to close above it. So here, moving this down, since we got this. Now, what do we want here? We want the candle ID. Make sure we just assign that one. Okay, I think we're good. So we want the candle to tag. So how we can do the tag is we can say the candle is here. The candle low is below the blue line. And where we want it to happen is, so we want it to above the green line, because basically if we want the either the close, we want also the close to happen. So okay, so blue line is fine. So we just want the candle to come below and then close above. Yep, so we call this tag blue tag, and then we just copy, paste, red line, so we call that the red tag, copy, paste, and the green tag. Done. And we just go in here, make sure that our candle low is above the green line. Okay, so what we have here, we have this, and then this is where that OR operator comes in handy. So we're saying that, so now to recap, we have we need to make sure all the lines are in check with one another. So that's where the and comes in. We need the price to the close to be above blue, and then check. Then it goes down and says, has the low tagged below any of this? So again, to reiterate, this is the candle low. Then we move on to the next step. So the next step here is we'll just recycle these three. So we just copy and we'll paste. But in this case, we'll say the candle close is above above and we'll just copy the or. Well, we'll just grab a new or. So instead of blue close, so we just call it blue close. Basically, just you have creative license to do whatever you want in terms of naming convention. Close. And we go or. So we make sure it's this again. And then in this case, we would go, let's just clean up here. We'll do the distance check a little later. So let's just wipe this off for now. So this is where we go. We check. And then everything seems to look good. So what we've done here is we've done all these checks. And then we're good. Okay, let's export this over to MT4. So we save as, nope, not oh yeah, experts. Gator back. Now we go into the MQL4 editor. Experts. ST back. F7 to compile. Close that one down. So here we go. Gator back. Expert properties. Inputs. So this is what we have here. So as you can see here, we have these somewhere. I have these boxes checked, but without the boxes checked, this is where we can go in and make the changes. But for now, let's just leave it as it is and we can tidy it up later. So the Australian dollar, and we click start. Appears to be working right now, but we have a crazy buy and sell situation here where we have multiple lots going on. So let's just skip. And we will troubleshoot what happened. But for now, this is a good start on how the EA has been built. So we'll call it a video, otherwise it's going to get a little long.